What is up, YouTube? This is Cody. Early Saturday morning on the Real Sports Talk, bringing you a NASCAR video for the trucks and also the Sprint Showdown and All-Star race that are coming up today. Yesterday's race in the Truck Series, it was pretty exciting, a lot of beating and banging. We saw some great racing, and we got our third first-time winner in the Truck Series this season in Justin Lofton, who edged out Brad Keselowski, who also would have been a first-time winner. And as I said, it was a very good race, a lot of hard racing, beating and banging. Typical old school Truck Series race. It was good to see something like that again. And Lofton actually takes the points lead after this win, finally getting an opportunity in the trucks to run some good equipment. And this is really kind of the year of the young guys. And I didn't see it coming. I said it would be a year where a veteran like Johnny Sauter, Ron Hornaday came out and won this championship. But they are not necessarily doing as well as I thought, and a lot of people thought, starting out with John King's win at Daytona. And guy I mentioned earlier, Johnny Sauter, he's having a dreadful year. That kind of continued tonight. He had a problem. And a lot of guys running out of fuel at points in the race and cutting tires. At about lap 70, all of a sudden, people started running out of gas unexpectedly, and others were cutting tires, and it was just kind of something people weren't expecting, but the fuel window, guys adjusted to it, and pit stops were varied from there. Ron Hornaday did pick up his first top 5 of 2012 in this race, and Todd Bodine, as one of the veterans of the series, also picked up a third-place finish. And as I said, Johnny Sauter finished 25th. He ends up dropping back to 18th in points, which is not good at all for his season. And it's at this point, it's looking very grim. But I think they said on speed that Johnny Sauter actually started off, though, worse last year and came back to finish 6th in the point standings. So there's still time to recover and get back into this championship hunt, but he's going to have to do a lot of winning races and a lot of hard work, and his crew's going to really have to step it up, and they're going to have to. It hasn't really been Johnny's fault at all on these things. It's been equipment failures or getting spun out, things like that. And it's just been a really unfortunate season for Johnny Sauter, who I picked to win the championship in my preseason video. But moving on, as I said, the young guns are doing really well here. Jeb Burton, who is Jeff Burton's son, I believe it's his 4th or 5th start in the Truck Series, I think. He finishes in 8th position, really runs well all night, around action all night. He really, you could see him learning throughout the race things that he can and can't do with his truck. Like he just tried to pass guys on the low side when there wasn't a lot of room, and he was pinched down, and he ended up getting sideways, but he saved it, and he ran very well tonight. And Jason Leffler also comes away with a good finish in tonight's race at Charlotte. He finishes in 4th position, charging forward at the end. And he, though, was having a really bad season like Sauter, just very unlucky, and not a lot he can do about it. He's now 17th in the point standings, and that's just something that he's going to have to work on moving forward in the season with this team that Kyle Busch used to drive for, Kyle Busch Motorsports, and they're going to really have to work on their stuff, and they'll be moving forward. And I expect them to run well, like I expect Johnny Sauter to run well, but if they keep on getting unlucky with their equipment, there's not really much they can do about it. Moving on with the younger guys and the unknowns, Joey Coulter, who was a lap down early, I believe, if not multiple laps. I know he had a problem early in the race. Jason White with the new sponsorship in this race, and Timothy Peters and Ty Dillon, they all finished in the top 10 in this race. So we're seeing some new faces showing up, leading some laps. James Buescher ran very well before he was involved in an accident. 8 cautions in this race, very action-packed race, and we'll go back to Dover in a couple weeks, and very high-bank track there, high-speed track for these trucks to run on. It's usually exciting when they go there. Now I'm going to move on to the Sprint Showdown and the Sprint All-Star race. So the Showdown is basically the run-up to the All-Star race tomorrow night. They take the top 2 finishers in the Showdown to move on to the All-Star race, and that race is 2 hours before the All-Star race with all the drivers that are trying to get into the All-Star race that did not end up there by their performances last season. So Jimmy Johnson's crew, just a little before we get into that, this happened earlier in the week, they won the pit crew competition, beating last year's winner, Denny Hamlin's crew, and that FedEx crew number 11 team. And this had a unique qualifying setup with the Showdown and the All-Star race. It was a 3-lap deal. The drivers went on the track, and they went around, and it also included a pit stop, getting on and off pit road, and so a total of 3 laps. And Kyle Busch came out in the winner in that. He is known for getting on and off pit road very well, and it showed in this case, and he ends up starting on the front row on the pole. And Ryan Newman will start alongside him for this race. And Martin Truex Jr. and AJ Allmendinger are starting on the front row for the Showdown, with Dale Jr. just behind them. And then top 2 move on from the Showdown, as I said, and there's also a fan vote-in, which I'd imagine would be Dale Earnhardt Jr., and if it's not, I would honestly be shocked, but I wouldn't be surprised if he also raced his way in, and I'm expecting him to do pretty well in this event. So once they get to the All-Star race at 9 p.m., they're going to move on, and that'll be a 4-segment race with the winners from each segment getting to go into the pits before the final 10-lap segment before everyone else. So they'll go to the front of the field by winning the segment, and so basically you're setting yourself up, if you win a segment, to be in front. So it'll be interesting to see if guys win a segment, if they drop back and just stay out of trouble. I'm not sure what they're going to try to do with that, or if they're going to try to win another segment and be competitive the whole time. But that final segment is really what matters, and that's where you really cash in that final 10 laps. So we're going to have to see how people run and what strategies they try to use, but it's really going to be a lot of driving talent that this is going to be based off of. There's not a lot of pit strategy you can do, and like I said, it's just going to be in the driver's hands. It should be very interesting. Things seem to get very wild. Remember a couple of years ago where Denny Hamlin ended up putting his teammate Kyle Busch into the wall during this race, and Kyle Busch was just red hot. So in that final 10 laps after those guys come onto pit road, that should be very interesting. And as we've seen in the past, this could be a real stepping stone for guys that are trying to jumpstart their seasons and haven't had great seasons so far. You remember a few years ago, Tony Stewart got his first win as an owner in this race. No points paying races before that, but he gets his first win as an owner, and he kind of propels his team on from there. They start doing really well, and he ends up with a championship in these next couple of years. But I'm not saying that the winner of this race will win a championship in 2 years, but I'm just saying that this is a place where guys can jumpstart their seasons, get their confidence, and really start showing their stuff. And this is a case where we could see the Hendrick guys like Casey Kane or Jeff Gordon that have been having lackluster seasons. We could see them get their first wins, and we could see them maybe jumpstart their seasons where they can get more wins after this. And a guy I'd really look out for as an underdog or dark horse. He ran well in practice, and this is a guy that's already in the Showdown, or the All-Star race. But Marcus Ambrose is a guy I think we need to look out for in this race. He ran very well, I believe, at Las Vegas early in the season, and they were just struggling to find their steps since then. And they had a decent run last week, and I think they can really not necessarily jumpstart their season, but they can definitely get a decent finish here at Charlotte, and they could possibly contend for the win in this All-Star race. And that's something, a guy that we need to look out for. Marcus gets aggressive. He's a good driver. We could see him possibly getting the win in this race, if not just winning a segment. So that's a guy to definitely look out for in that DeWalt Ford, number 9. And the guy I think that's going to win this race, though, is Kyle Busch. And I think he's really an aggressive driver, and he's a guy that knows how to get it done here. He knows how to lead laps, and I think he's ultimately just the most talented driver on the circuit. And I think he's going to get it done this week in the Sprint All-Star race. But also, 2 other guys I'd look out for that I'd say are the 2 guys behind him actually aren't starting in the Showdown. Maybe Kevin Harvick's flying under the radar a little bit. But in the Showdown, Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Martin Truex Jr., if they get into the All-Star race, they could be deadly as far as getting wins in this race. And they are guys that are having great seasons. They're running very well in the mile-and-a-half tracks. Martin Truex Jr. coming up just short of Kansas a few weeks ago, and I think that he can possibly contend for the win. But as I said, Kyle Busch could come in with this win here. And Dale Jr., he's going to strike when we least expect it, I think, because he's having a season where he's running well everywhere, and guys aren't really expecting him. It's not so much about when Jr. is going to win the race anymore, because he's running well. That talk's kind of faded away. But I think that in this race, Kyle Busch is going to come away with the victory. And it's kind of a weird weekend, so probably in the post-race video, I'll have the preview for Sunday's race at Iowa for the Nationwide Series race. And after that, I'll probably do a third video for this weekend and a nationwide post-race video. So I know some of you guys might not get this race televised because it's on Speed, but I'll have a video for you right here recapping what happened and all the action. So if you just want to check out the Real Sports Talk after the race tomorrow, and I'll try to get some stuff up here for you.